in it right now.
You should be good. All right. All right.
No introduction, no music, just straight up on. I mean, I know that's how you like to roll, so I don't have no problem with that.
Now, see,
I need somebody to elevate their
you
production.
already know I am the godfather of elevation and evolution and technology. So next week, so don't say that. Next week, you're going to hear the Beatles in the background.
I'm just saying.
All you got to do is give me a task, and that's going to be it.
I don't even get a countdown. I don't even get a 3, 2. No, I just get. Oh, baby, you on now? You on?
Yeah, no, we live. Look,
we live. We just live. We just live right now.
That's most colored folks' introduction. Yeah, I guess we're live.
Yeah. Are we live now? Is this thing on? Just 1, 2, 3.
The other persuasions, unfortunately, they get on there. Tim, bring me through. All right, testing 1, 5. We're on.
You're on camera number 1 in 3, 2, and 1. Go.
Oh God! All right, sir. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Unscripted. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and today I am graced with my good friend, Mr. Adam Ford. He is on here today. He's already starting ready to get his jokes on, so we're gonna go ahead and get him good and warmed up because he's already starting.
Ain't nobody tell you to come on here with no bath towel on, bro. Leave your bath towel in the bathroom. That's
so that y'all can follow what he's saying. Before I started the show, I had another jacket on. It was kind of like a fleece kind of material, but he got on there to my
terry cloth material.
He was hating, although he looked like the engine captain on Love Boat. Look at it. Anyway, I was gonna save that one to get him later. But anyway,
whatever, man.
All right, everybody. Good evening, everyone. All right. So today, me and Mr. Ford are going to. Let's see. Let me pull this up. We're going to. First of all, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I know.
Yeah, I hope you guys are staying safe.
Yeah, rough out here, and today they said. I want to say, was it yesterday or today was one of the highest death tolls, like in one day.
Yeah.
Like in one day, I think it was like 163 or something in one day. It's ridiculous. Yeah. You would think think with all of this going on. Look, I get it. It's nice outside. Everybody wants to get back to normal and do all these things. But what difference will all that make if we all are dead?
Yeah.
Right? We got to be smart and stay in the best we can and, just try to learn from all this because this gets a little crazy out here. It gets a little cabin fever. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you be in there you be in the house. Ding, ding, ding.
No, and I get it. I totally understand it, man. You want to get outside, you want to get back to normal, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
But normal is gone.
Yeah.
What used to be is no more. This is a whole new world we're about to walk into, and we need to walk. We need to walk cautiously.
Yeah. No, that's real talk.
Don't be premature in getting back outside. Be as cautious as you possibly can because your life depends on it and the lives of those that are connected with you. So,
right. No, I'm always amazed when I step out or if I happen to go to the store and if I ride down a particular street and I look and I see us. We just corralled in over in the corner. And no mask, no gloves, not even 6 inches, 2 feet away, 1 inch. It's just like, man, this is like we don't get it.
And then we wonder why we have the highest fatalities with this disease.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter we're not even doing the basic stuff in terms of protecting ourselves and preventing ourselves from getting it in the first place.
Wow.
We're doing everything but that.
Wow.
Come on.
Wow. Come on. This is gonna be a new norm for sure that we all have to get ready for because it's gonna definitely change the game. And I think it's gonna get a little worse before it gets a tad bit better in the first place.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so today we are dealing with, let's see, managing the reality of unhappy, harnessing the magic of happy. How do we do it? So this topic came about because let's just be honest, man. Not only is this pandemic taking a toll on relationships and marriages as a whole, right? Mm-hmm. It's creating anxiety in just people in general. and impatient restlessness, and people are having to endure climates that they would otherwise could walk in and out of without a jacket.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In most cases, you may not need a jacket to go into the freezer and grab that meat and come back out and cook it. But now, because you're in the house and it's you're forced in, we're having to endure these climates, be it hot or cold, that we're not typically used to. And we think we can kind of weather them the same way we did before this. And now, as a result of this, relationships as a whole are imploding. And it's the truth of what they are coming to the surface. And as a result of that, you hear a lot of underbelly cries of, I'm not happy, I'm this, I'm that, all these kind of things. And so you say to yourself, unhappiness is a reality, unfortunately. It's a reality for many of us. And so what you do with it and how you manage it is what counts, because we don't always have to stay there. We can evolve, we can change the narrative of our relationship or marriage if we choose to. The problem is just one person having an inclination to do it is not enough. You have to have two. In order to make it overall successful, you need to have both people in the same position. This can be a little difficult, but over time, when I think of unhappiness as a whole, I think of an inside job. It's a tall order, that is, to get someone else to make you happy. Because when we come in a relationship now, we are expecting the person to bring us a certain level of euphoric happiness. Like, I need you to perform, Adam, because I need to feel this way. Or the default is always, well, I haven't been. You ever heard those friends and they'll talk, and they have been maybe your best friends is a couple that you and your wife may hang out with. And when you get that one honest night when everybody's selling their truths, you have that person to say to your wife, well, I've been putting on for you and Adam, but me and Tom have not been happy for years. But they live together, they've existed, but they have not been happy for years. And so that's when I hear comments like that, it makes me think, I'm like, wow, it's tough enough trying to not be depressed yourself, trying to not be discouraged yourself, trying to juggle your goals or your aspirations. And are you feeling good enough about yourself to pursue them? Do you have the support to do it? It's hard enough doing that. So you figure you have that coupled with now someone else telling you, I'm not happy and I need X, Y, Z, and it's kind of rough. Okay. So what do you think, sir? How does some of this stuff play off for you?
Well, I'll start off by saying this and just establishing some ground rules in terms of what happiness is. Happiness to some extent certainly has to do with the things that are happening around you. They can certainly have an influence on your mood and your attitude. The happenings around you can make you happy. To some extent. They certainly can. So when things are going good in your life and you're on the up and up and you're prospering and you're successful, those things can make you happy. But I believe that long-term happiness has really less to do with what's happening around you or externally, and has more to do with what's happening on the inside of you. I think a lot of times we ignore the happenings internally. We ignore those things in favor of the external happenings that are happening around us. But like I said, I really do believe that true happiness is an extent based on what's happening on the inside of you. So are you happy with you? Are you happy with the way that you feel about yourself or how you think about yourself? I think that really is the bedrock for how you feel about yourself, or whether or not if you are happy with yourself. Here's the reality is the fact that if you aren't happy, I can't make you happy.
Wow.
That's the truth of the matter.
Wow.
If you aren't happy, if you don't have real happiness that's happening on the inside of you, no matter what I do, no matter what I buy you, no matter where I take you or try to give you, that's not going to produce true, authentic, genuine happiness within you. Because again, true happiness comes from the inside and flows to the outside. Now, that's not to say that I don't have some influence on that, or that I don't have some type of effect on your happiness. But at the end of the day, whether you're with somebody or not with somebody, happiness really starts on the inside of you in terms of how you actually feel.
Yeah, I agree. And that in itself is where the job begins.
Yeah.
And I think we as people owe it to our partners or prospective partners, spouses, to kind of be honest with where we are. And I think a lot of us let too much time lapse without being honest with the way we're feeling. Like, you got some people that are in relationships and they're taken care of and kept, so to speak. And, you have the partners that one person just has to say, well, I sure wish I had this. And the next day the box arrives. So it would make you think all things are good and grand and nice. But some people they're struggling with depression. They're battling past traumas.
Yeah.
And those are some things, it's hard to contend with them, especially if a person is not bringing them to surface to share, so that you guys can begin to talk about it and at least find some work toward resolve. Right. But it's a tough job. That's why I believe half the battle to dealing with unhappy is being very transparent with your person.
Yeah.
Keeping them, because at least if you're transparent, you're at least giving your partner a chance to allow their empathy to be activated. Okay. If you don't tap into that transparency, the people are a lot more likely going to be like, yeah, well, that's what you said 2 years ago, Adam. Sure. All right. They're going to kind of blow you off and be a little dismissive.
Okay.
But when you're honest about where you are and how you're feeling internally, and sometimes that honesty doesn't feel good. Sometimes when a person comes to you with, I'm not happy and this, that, and the other, it is not a good feeling, because most people like to feel like they're checking off all the boxes of what they need to do to maintain their relationship and or marriage. No one wants to feel like, at least if that person cares anyway, if the person is in tune and they care, you at least want to feel like, oh, so give me a chance to get it right. But I can't get it right unless you make me aware of it. If you don't make me aware of it, I have the chance to get it right. And you have a lot of people out here that want you to be mind readers. They want you to be able to have telekinesis and says, something told me you didn't want to go to this restaurant, so I made reservations 2 hours away. Whatever. So people want you to kind of tap into that part of their brain, when that's extremely hard. Yeah. Especially for men sometimes. Yeah, it's hard.
I'll go as far as to say this, and I do kind of, to some extent, understand the whole aspect of mind reading, if you will, the ability to be telepathic, to be able to know and understand when somebody else is thinking. I think part of that comes in the idea and the concept of empathy and sympathy. Empathy has more to do with being able to understand somebody's feelings. Okay. And then the cousin to that is sympathy, and then being able to feel what they feel. Wow. And so to some degree, I think that people confuse empathy with telepathy. They are not the same. Wow. Empathy has more to do with being able to perceive somebody's emotional state, whereas telepathy has more to do with understanding or being able to perceive somebody's thoughts. Okay. None of us can read each other's minds. Right. That's the truth of the matter. As a matter of fact, I don't even want you to read my mind. Right. Keep your nose out of my business, okay? But to some degree, we need to be able to be empathetic to each other. We need to be able to perceive each other's emotional state so that we can know how to deal with one another. And I think a lot of times what happens is, and I'll say it like this: if you aren't in touch with your own emotions, and if you aren't in tune with how you really feel about you, then you cannot know or even, again, empathize with somebody else who may have similar emotions.
Yeah.
If you're not empathetic, because empathy means I know what's going on with me, and so because I know what's going on with me, and it looks similar in terms of how you look, then I can definitely empathize with that.
Yeah.
And I can come alongside of you and we can have a conversation because I'm almost in a similar position as you are, because my empathy is now in play.
Yeah.
I'm in tune with you. We're in sync in that way. We're in harmony in that way.
Right.
Again, don't get it confused with telepathy, because telepathy has to do with knowing somebody's thoughts. And
you know, as the movies put it, oh, this person completes me and they complete my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And they already knew me when I got to what I wanted, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, they may be able to read your body language, and they can take some verbal cues as to, you know, what you might be meaning or might be hinting at. But again, at the end of the day, they're not reading your mind.
Right.
Here's the thing, though: if you're really open and honest and transparent with the person, then they won't need to read your mind. Because again, empathy will allow them to tune into your emotional state and be able to understand and perceive that in a way that makes you think they're reading your mind. But in fact, they're being empathetic to where you are. I think that's a lost art in terms of being able to function within the dynamic of a relationship, being able to be empathetic to that person, understanding them. Here's a prime example. Good example. If I'm going through a traumatic experience in my life, and it brings me to tears, and I'm devastated by it, but then my spouse, my wife, looks at me and doesn't make the effort to understand where I am, or even to comfort me. Nine times out of 10, she doesn't know because she's never been there. You see what I'm saying? That's what empathy is about. Empathy says, I've been where you've been, or I've had a similar experience as you have, and as a result of that experience, my empathy now is in tune with where you are, and now I understand, and because I understand, I know what you need. But if you've never been there before, you can't meet that need.
Wow. You know, one of the worst practices that we do in relationships and marriage when we hit those pockets of unhappiness is we say we bring up a former relationship that also failed. I mean, no matter how good it was, it failed, right? At the end of the day, the woman could have like waited on you hand and foot, been perfect. The man could have been the knight in shining armor. He did all of the responsible things and great things and romantic things that men do. However, if the relationship does not complete, it failed. And so a lot of times when we end up where we are, and you know, to be in a relationship with someone, but to reference another situation, it doesn't do the relationship any good. Because number one, it's like if you're going to pull from something, pull from us, deal with us, because something that preceded me or something outside of us doesn't really matter, right? I mean, they're not present. This is a thing between you and I. And so we have to learn. One thing we have to do is we have to learn to disagree fairly. You know, a lot of times we don't disagree fairly. We argue, we pull everything but the kitchen sink out to use it as a weapon in the argument, a weapon of persuasion to be able to get our point. Whatever it takes, we're going to do whatever. We're going to bring up. We can even bring up something that you were convicted of years ago, but because it was valid to them to use that conviction today, they'll bring it up. Well, you wasn't saying that when you was out there doing so and so. But what does that have to do with today? Right? We're here today, and this is what we're dealing with. So why are we discussing this now?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that kind of thing doesn't lend itself well to really being able to discuss the issues that are at hand. And again, I gotta say, if you've been in similar situations, then what's going to happen is even when you're having an argument, you're going to some extent you should be working toward trying to see the issue from that person's perspective.
Yes.
Again, it has to do with really being able to tune in to them, understand where they are, see it from their vantage point. That way, you can work toward creating a viable solution between the two of you. But again, if you are cut off from your own emotional state, there is no way that you can really connect with somebody else because you are not even connected to yourself. And again, I think I find that as a prevalent issue in today's relationships landscape is the fact that we aren't even in tune with who we are as people.
Absolutely.
And that's not good. That doesn't help anybody.
Absolutely.
You know, that's another that is one of the largest walls that you will ever encounter in a relationship, and that is a person who's not in tune with their own personal emotions in regards to particular issues. You know, that's not good. And again, it's certainly a hindrance to that person being able to empathize with you with wherever you are in terms of your own personal happiness. You know, and again, when you are able to generate that own happiness from out of your own heart, then other people can grab onto that as well. But again, if you're not happy about you, then I certainly can't be happy about you, nor can I ever make you happy about anything.
Right. Let me ask you a question. This is going to be left field, but it's relevant to what we're talking about. It's kind of one of my parables. So let me ask you this. What is one of the most important things a person should learn about eating? And we're not talking about eating right or healthy, just eating and consuming the food, period.
Well, I think one of the most important things that you can take away from eating is that, and it's very simple and very basic, but it's also very profound, is that you are what you eat. You are literally what you eat. And so, I think the reality is, and I'll just use a very natural example. If you eat a lot of sugary foods, day in and day out, and all you drink is soda and Kool-Aid all day long, then at the end of the day, you're going to end up with diabetes.
Wow.
Because of what you ate. You're not eating properly. And so the body can only accommodate what you put in it. It can only respond to basically what you have consumed. And I'll put it even in this way, what you consume will eventually consume you. So what are you eating? What are you consuming?
What are you taking? What are you taking
in?
So where I was going to go with initially is, I think the reason a lot of us are so unsuccessful at getting along, keeping a relatively happy tone throughout the relationship is because most of us have not properly understood how to consume and properly digest our food. And most of us are getting choked. So just think, if somebody's eating something that has bones in it, the common sense is going to tell you that if you're going to eat it with the bones, either crunch the bones all the way up until it's fine, you know what I'm saying? They can just consume down with your drink, or you better learn to spit the bones out. And so what we're doing is we're getting into these disagreements, and you starting to chomping on the food, and instead of spitting them out sometime, when you get to that bone, meaning that thick spot that you might just need to say, you know what, it's okay for us to agree to disagree and let that go. I'm gonna go and spit that out and moving on. We're getting choked in these relationships, and we still are stuck on. We still got bones in our throat from a year ago, 8 months ago, 6 months ago, and we're choking on it while we're trying to make our arguments and disagreements, and we're fussing, and we're saying, look, this and this, and remember you did this, Adam, and remember this. Well, you should have got rid of that bone years ago, but you didn't. You're still choking on it because we don't know how to properly consume disagreement. We don't know how to properly eat. We get into these arguments and these beefs and these different things, and it becomes more about us wanting to be right. It becomes more about you getting right rather than you. Am I doing this the most healthy way for this relationship, or am I just kind of slamming this person against the wall because I need for them to know I got the upper hand on what's right in this relationship, and you need to abide by the way I'm administering this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what's interesting though, and it's again, this is a very basic thing, and it's something that we all learned in our childhood, hopefully. And that is the fact that you need to chew up all your food.
Oh, wow.
You can't swallow whole food. You know why?
Yeah. Right.
Just like you said, you'll choke.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, instead of us really taking the time, I was like, here's the process. Here's the process. And I'll give you a real quick biology lesson. When you start chewing your food,
right,
the digestive juices in your stomach begin to flow,
right,
which ultimately leads to proper digestion.
Right.
Chew up all your food.
Right.
Process the conversation. Chew up the transparency. Chew it until it becomes mushy enough in your mouth so that you can swallow it without choking.
Yeah.
But the problem is we don't want to take the time that's necessary to chew correctly.
Wow.
This is the reason why a lot of us end up with digestion. Here's the other side of this. Instead of drinking a lot of iced tea, I love iced tea and ginger ale and all these other drinks that we should be drinking.
Right.
You know what's recommended when you eat your food? Water. Water completely assists you in your digestive process. So what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say is that water has the ability to flush you out, has the ability to fill you up, flush you out, and get you straight so that you can properly digest all that you're consuming. So take the time out to chew up your food. Take the time out to really, here we go. Here's the chewing process of the conversation, to listen, like I've always said, listen carefully to what the person is saying so that you can actually understand what they're saying and you can actually relate to their perspective. See it from their end. You're not always right about everything. None of us are.
None of us. Yeah, sure.
None of us are. And for those who like to be right all the time, like I like to say, you'll be right, but you'll be right by yourself.
Wow.
And that's the truth of the matter.
That's it.
You can be right all day long about everything in this life, but you will be right in this life by yourself, because nobody wants to be with a know-it-all all the time. At some point in time, you get something wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, just, you chew your food slowly next time.
Yeah.
Take it.
Basically process the argument slowly.
Yes.
You didn't always have to escalate. You don't have to escalate so fast, and it's before you know it's turned up and y'all out in the front of the house fighting. You know what I'm saying? Make the discussion slow and again, one big part that plays part in proper communication though is respect. Sometimes you can't have proper communication because one party or another doesn't quite respect you like you need to be. And so as you're discussing the person dismissive, body language over here, they turn around, they want to walk away. You're not having a fruitful discussion anyway. Right. So you got to make sure the person that you are engaging with, if they're not going to give the proper respect to the engagement, don't engage because you're wasting your breath.
Here's the thing, though. You entered into the conversation already ready to fight.
Right.
You entered into the discussion already on defense.
Yeah.
So your intent was never to really resolve the issue. You just wanted to prove a point.
Correct.
You just wanted to let them know that you were right about this particular thing, and that was it. You didn't really want to have a discussion to solve the issue. You just wanted them to hear your voice because you're right all the time. Again, okay, you can be right, but you'll be right by
yourself. That's it. All right. That's a good turning point for us too. So those of you who may have just joined us, we were the first half of the show. We've been talking about managing the reality of unhappy. How to react when it arrives. Some of the best ways to dialogue when we are in these disagreements, and kind of giving the argument or the disagreement a fair chance. And we were even talking about being transparent of your position. You can't expect your partner to read your mind. Doesn't matter how long you've been with them. Doesn't matter what you think or presume they should know. Some people just don't know how deep something is wounding you until you yell, ouch. We don't know, right? So you got to say something. People don't read minds. So, and now we're going to shift into harnessing the magic of happy. And the reason I put magic there is because I think to live in the space of happiness in a more consistent way, the two of you have to find a certain magic that worked for you to be able to evolve in that space. Otherwise, you'll give room to the opposite spectrum, and that'll become your reality again.
Yeah.
So when it comes to happiness, Mr. Ford, what comes to mind when you think of, just relationship and or marriage when it comes to happiness?
I mean, being able to be yourself and be silly. I'm a silly, goofy dude all day long.
Right.
All day long. Right. Ask my wife. She will tell you.
Right.
I mean, and it's funny now we've gotten into this whole ritual that before we go to bed at night, we play games.
Wow.
I mean, I take her pillow, she take my pillow. I'm running down the hall, she running down the hall behind me. Just being silly. Life is too serious. As we plainly see, life is so serious, but also life is short.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna live this life, I by doggone, I'm gonna be happy in the midst of it.
I know that's right. Yeah, I know that's right.
And again, I'm just gonna be happy. I can sit here and sometimes I'll be in the office by myself, just cracking jokes. I'm sitting there laughing. I know you might call me crazy, but again, my happiness is not dependent upon anybody but me.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do is add to my happiness.
Yeah. You
can't really make me happy.
So happiness tends to have a lot to do with if I'm hearing you right, like it's a place of self-contentment.
It is.
Even in the space of relationship and or marriage, it's a place of self-contentment, because otherwise, if you don't have the self-contentment, one person or the other will spend most of the duration of the relationship stressing themselves out, trying to make the person happy. You understand? The other person happy, right?
How about this? And I really want to kind of go down this path a little bit. How about the reason why I can't make you happy is because you don't even know what makes you happy.
Wow.
You have no clue as to what really makes you happy. And so now you have to do a self-evaluation, a self-examination to personally assess what is it that makes me happy. Watch this. What really gives me joy is the fact that I can find satisfaction and fulfillment in what I do in my life. That I really do believe that is the bedrock of true happiness. When you realize that purpose for which you've been created for, or that thing that thrills you, that thing that brings you fulfillment in your life, that thing that satisfies you. That is the beginning of happiness.
Yeah.
And once you find that thing, there's nothing else that anybody could say or do to you to not make you happy, because you found that thing now. Yeah. Whether it's whether it's pastoring a church, or being the head of a corporation, or being an artist, being a singer, being a writer of a novel, being entrepreneurial. Those are the things that bring real satisfaction and fulfillment in this life that nobody else can do for you but you. Yeah. You are the one that's going to have to put the effort forth and invest the time and the energy in doing these things. And again, anybody else that comes into your life ought to be adding to that.
Yeah,
but they can't generate that for you.
So we still come, and it's what you just said brings us back to the person being able to find them in the equation, find themselves. Because a lot of times we come into situations and physically we say we're prepared and we're ready, and I know this is what I want, Adam, and I want this, that, and the other. I'm ready for this marriage. But we come into it lost, hoping, looking to the other person to define us. Okay. And that's one of the worst ways to start something. Yeah. Coming into something with no identity and hoping for the other person to give you a license, right? To love. Yeah. And that's kind of hard,
Yeah. I think one of the things too that I'm realizing on this second go around
Yeah.
is the fact that there were some things when the younger me did not know about me that I found out as the older me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There were some things in younger me was ignorant of a lot of things when it came to myself personally, and when it came to myself operating within the dynamic of a relationship that the older me now knows. And
Wow.
the older me now knows how to implement those particular things. This makes the relationship flow easier
Yeah.
because I know these things now. And
Wow.
now, because I know them, I can implement these things. You know what I'm saying? Again, one of those things is the fact that, as much as I love her and as much as she loves me, I realize and I understand that she can only add to whatever happiness and satisfaction that I already have on the inside of me.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, there were some things that I had to get straight with me first after the divorce. There were some things that I had to reconcile within me first before I pursued anybody else. There was some unfinished business that I had to finish first before anybody else could conduct new business with me.
Oh,
And so
wow. That's good stuff.
that's the truth of the matter, man.
That's good stuff.
That's the reality, and that's where happiness comes in at.
Yeah.
And I believe that happiness is not just one particular thing.
Yeah.
I mean, happiness has its finger in a whole lot of different things.
Yeah.
We just need to define what those things are for
us. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I like to think sometimes when you're dealing with two people that are trying to harness happiness, in order to keep that thing locked between you all, there has to be a certain element of dreaming. Like we call dreaming whack and corny, but dreaming matters. When you're dreaming, dreaming is the catalyst for a lot of hope and belief. If you can have hope between the two of you, and hope and action is being in a marriage where things are tough, and you can look at each other or a relationship and be like, this is really not so good of a season. But I believe that we were brought here for a purpose together. Yeah. And so we're going to ride this wave out irregardless, because I know on the other side of this is something far more beautiful than where we are. Like you're putting it in action and you're kind of dreaming, so to speak, because currently it's not beautiful. It's ugly, right? But you got to be able to tap into that side of your brain and say it's going to be better over there as long as we stay committed. We remain, in communication with one another, and we keep believing that this thing can evolve. Other than that, it's easy to fall into the, this is wasting my time. I'm done. Like you said, the younger you can say, I don't have time for this. I don't have the empathy for this. I don't have the capacity to continue. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, and let me just go a little bit deeper with this whole happiness thought. Before I don't want to sound too churchy or spiritual, but what I want to say, I know but what I wanted to say was the fact that happiness is good, and we all need to be happy in our lives. We all need to feel that sense of happiness. But I do believe deeper down, if you go further than the surface of happiness, you will find joy. Joy is the thing that you really, really want.
Yeah.
And sometimes happiness can disguise or even look like joy.
Yeah.
But again, that happiness all has to do with, is all based on happenings.
Wow.
Okay. But joy, that's what you really, really want. Regardless of what my circumstances are, regardless of how hard the wind is blowing, and if the lightning is flashing, if the rain's pouring down, I can still have joy in the midst of all of that craziness.
Yes.
And joy can certainly put a smile on my mouth. And joy is the what I can share with the one that's with me. So when she's not feeling joyful, I can give her the joy that I've got.
Yes, and joy, in listening to it in the sense that you're explaining it, joy is coming across as the engine to happiness.
Absolutely.
The joy is the motor that's running inside of you. It's a joy. It's like you can wake up from a deep sleep, and somebody can hit you with a pillow, and you start smiling and laughing and fighting back with them, playing, because the motor of joy has been running all night, right? Exactly. And so the joy is running, and it's not hard to then sow seeds of happiness from that motor into other people. You know what I'm saying? Into your person.
There you go.
That's what we have to do.
You get an offering on that one, sir. That was good.
On tonight. No, but that's what we need. I say that all the time. someone asked me once before, would I rather have joy or happiness? And I said joy, because happiness can be fleeting.
Yeah.
But joyful is an eternal marriage.
Yes.
Me and joy together is the eternal marriage. That's what you want. Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
And again, like I said before, happiness is good. We all want to be happy in this life.
Yeah.
But again, happiness is to some degree predicated upon your happenings. And even as I started out saying, it even is predicated upon the happenings that are happening on the inside of you.
Wow.
But joy surpasses happiness.
Yeah.
Because when there's nothing happening or negative things are happening, joy can say to the bad things that are happening, you know what? It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
I still got joy.
Yeah. And it's nothing like blindly chasing happiness when you yourself don't quite know what you want. It's a miserable race. It's almost like running. You're at the Olympics where you can get embarrassed, and you get at the starting line and everybody is looking and everybody can see who their competition is, and then one of the judges come up and put blindfolds on you and then shoot the gun off. Everybody else start running and you just like, and where I'm going, and you just running around like a crazy person. And that's what it's like trying to call yourself chasing happiness when you don't really have a clue. Wow. And many people can probably concur and say, at some point in life, we have pursued for the pursuit of happiness, like Will Smith movie. We have pursued happiness so foolishly. We have went from person to person, from venture to venture. We done wasted the house pot money because we had an inkling of something told us to start a business. You know, all these things that we chase without full understanding. And when you go out there doing this, you can make a real mess and mockery of life and your relationship doing it that way. That's why it's important. I mean, when you get a chance to really digest it correctly, to just kind of sit back and be like, what's going on with me? Like, where am I honestly at? Right. And here's another embarrassing truth. Social media, while it has its benefits and perks of doing stuff like this and spreading messages to the masses and connecting with relatives and family and friends, it also turns the light on your dysfunction. And some of us move about on social media in different ways, and we think we may have a motive for doing what we're doing, whether it be a selfie, whether it be a post, whether it be a certain live video. But at the end of the day, some of these stories tell us just how miserable we are. Because it's saying, look, I have to have a certain amount of attention a certain amount of times a day, or I'm not going to make it. So it's really sad. It brings a sad reality to us when we see how we use social media and these different things like this to try to aid and abet our unhappiness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
And I think to a large degree, social media has painted this false narrative of what happiness is.
Yeah.
We see it with people who have done well in life and they have all this money and they got all these cars and they have this fabulous crib that they're living in and they got all wonderful men and wonderful women around.
Right.
But the reality is, again, I got to tell you, that is not happiness.
Yeah.
That looks like happiness. It looks like the happiness that we have been told that we should strive for.
Yeah,
that's what we've been told by the media, that this is something that you should go for because these things will make you happy.
Wow.
Having status and having clout and knowing your name and you famous and you popular. These are the things that will make you happy.
Yeah.
But these are not the things that will make you happy.
Yes.
These are the things that'll make you depressed and insecure.
Right. When you look at this stuff on there, I mean, I told a story once, I want to say, where I remember a friend of mine, she was doing like I want to say it was like a web series. And I think she was, at once upon a time, she was wanting to get a reality show. And it was her and her husband. And the thing was, she was so elated that, you know, let's just be honest. Some women, they get really elated when their significant other doesn't mind the open validation on social media. whether it be pictures in the car, videos, whatever the case.
Right.
To each his own, right? And so I remember her mainly doing this. He's a nice looking guy. She was a nice looking woman. So this blog she had mostly had women. So the women were on there like, oh my God, love goes. And all it showed was things like she would take it'd be a camera of her going in the room to wake him up, pour water on him, and he'll be asleep and he'll get up, hey baby. And they're like, oh, that's so sweet, because basically he's not ashamed of the camera with you. Check this out. She got so into this whole thing. I mean, they had this whole thing with going to church, the whole bit. But when it came down to it, yes, she was not only was she his wife, she was the breadwinner, right? So, she was kind of handling the house. Well, as negative fate would have it, later it came out that the guy, he had a kid outside the marriage. And the person he had the kid with was of another race, and she wasn't even on social media. So he was living in a world where he didn't have to worry about his open validation, because the person he was having another family with wasn't even on social media, wasn't even seeing it. So this is when I say we chase this blind happiness for the sake of appeasing our circles. Yeah. And sometimes we don't even know our own truth for real for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? You need to get to know your real truth before you go parading anything. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, and that's why I said what I said in terms of what social media and the media in general has done to us, and what we've allowed it to do to us, to feed us this narrative of a false image as to what happiness should look like.
Yeah.
But I refuse to comply and acquiesce to that narrative.
Wow.
You know why? Because I got real happiness. I got real joy on the inside. That's not dependent upon what's going on around me or in my surroundings. So if I have $1 million or if I don't have $1 million, guess what? I'm still happy.
Anyway.
If you know my name or you don't know my name, I'm still happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So regardless of what all here's the other thing too, and I think this is the thing we really need to work on this. Let's work on not needing other people's validation for us.
Yeah. Yes.
Come on. You got enough people in your own circle, in your own life, that you don't need everybody on Facebook to validate you or to like you. Come on. Seriously? You don't need all those likes on Instagram as much as you think you do. What you need to do is have a conversation with those that are connected to you in your family and your small circle of friends, and allow them to speak into your life, build you up for the person that you really are. Because all these people on Facebook don't know a hill of beans about you. They don't know you on Instagram. They don't know the real you. But there are people that are connected to you in your life that know you for who you are. And these are the people that can
help you
adding to your own personal happiness.
Yes. And we have to tap into that. A lot of times we have a lot of pain and trauma associated with some of the relationships closest to us.
Yeah.
So sometimes you could find yourself in a stagnant position of being kind of lost in social media, because you feel like your friends online and they're cool. I've known this person for this time, but you're right. They're not your family, and they don't really have your real love at heart. You know what I'm saying? Your heart,
And look, here's the thing. If you really want to be in a real relationship, I promise you, there's going to come some hurt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's going to come some pain.
Yeah.
Because that's what real relationships are about. But even in that hurt and in that pain, there can still be some healing.
Yeah.
There can still be some restoration that takes place in those places, because whoever I'm in relationship with, I make sure that I heal them. If I hurt them inadvertently, I make sure that I go back and I heal them. I apologize. I say that I'm sorry. I don't want them to be broken up all over the place. Come on, I don't want them bleeding all over the place.
Yeah.
Come on, take some time to heal. But see, people on Facebook can't do that for you.
Yeah.
People on Instagram can't do that for you.
Right.
All the other social media sites, they can't do it. They can't even reach you. All they know is they see what you post on those grams. They see you post up your pictures, but they can't really touch you.
Yeah. Wow.
You know? Allow somebody into your circle that can actually touch you and heal you and bring you some happiness for yourself and help you.
Yeah. And like you said, if you see something I mean, everybody has their own individual happy. Like, let's just say if somebody saw you, Adam, with your spouse, they'd be like, oh, and maybe they can come to you and talk to you and your wife, but the result may not be just like what you have, right? True. But you can at least, like you said, get with someone that you can at least glean from. And start there. Start there and kind of let it build from there. I mean, here's the other side of it. Even couples that are in their ideal positions and have a good relationship and or marriage, the term says how iron sharpeneth iron. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Even though iron sharpeneth iron, to sharpen anything, it's some pain associated with it.
Or some friction.
Yeah, it hurts.
It's friction.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole purpose of iron sharpening iron. Whenever you see a blacksmith and he's working that he's working that furnace and he's working on that anvil, there is friction there. Right. That's the only way that you get that iron sharp as it possibly can be. So that it means that we don't always have to see eye to eye with each other, but it's our differences that help each other to strengthen one another. That's where that iron sharpens iron comes in. It wasn't because we always agreed on everything and we saw eye to eye on every situation and we were walking together hand in hand, skipping down the as we went along. No, the reality was we didn't always see eye to eye. We had some blow-ups, we had some arguments, but in the process of all of that, we sharpened each other, we strengthened each other, we edified each other, we lifted each other up so that we could be a better person than we are tomorrow. That's where it's at. Wow.
Man, that's some good stuff, sir.
I'm just saying, man.
So, people, we just at the end of the day, I think we need to, like you said, let's spend less time on being right, and let's spend more time on listening to one another. Like Mr. Ford said, listening to one another and listening with the intent of reaching the resolve. It's one thing to listen, but listening with the intent of finding the resolve. Not just, like you're saying, I sat here patiently and heard you. Are you done? Are you done? But no, listen so that we can say, let's listen so that we can win this together. The whole point is if you're going to be together, win together. It doesn't make sense to be together and get to the fork in the road and separate. If we're going to be together, let's be together and win. Or it doesn't make any sense if we're not going to win. We're wasting our time to just kind of keep going around this barn over and over and over and over again. And here's another thing. Sometimes, back to that part when I was talking about properly consuming food. Look, sometimes when you've ever eaten something and it might be tasting good and you're like, oh, wait a minute, something stuck me. Like some fish, a fish bone, something kind of stuck you. You like, and you got to stop and pause. Well, that's like a relationship that has an infraction. Okay. Something goes wrong while you're chewing. You say, "Oh, wait a minute, something is not right. It hurt. This kind of pierced to me deep. Let me wait a minute." And so you take your time and you tell your partner, this kind of stuck me. Right. We need to pull over for a second so I can tend to this because I don't want to choke. Right. Properly process it, deal with it, and look. One of the toughest things to do, I don't care what nobody say, is to abound or rebound, so to speak, from infidelity. Wow. Because everybody processes infidelity different. Yeah. I've heard women say things like, look, I just know the men are going to be men. And I don't concern myself with the things of foolishness of men. As long as this person respects me, that's all I worry about. And they separate the offense. And there's some women which is the most, which I would say the masses, most women will take that betrayal and that offense and just kind of be like, oh, you did me some kind of way and I just cannot get past this. And I think it's up to each individual to understand and embrace their threshold. Okay. Everybody knows your threshold. If your threshold does not include belief, you might as well get out of it. The threshold is only going to work is if you can see belief and some hope on the other side of the infraction. If you don't see it, you're wasting your time because you're going to not only kill yourself, but you're going to drive both of you all into a crazy home at the same time. So we got to learn how to deal with these things. And and I mentioned the extreme of the infidelity because today it's a very real reality. Today, people are choosing less to go to the counselor and they're choosing to be self-counseled outside the relationship or marriage. with another party. That's what's happening. People are choosing less. They don't want to do that as you suggested and go find the person to prune from and get mentored and get help. They're like, no, I'm tired of this. So I know we got to pay bills. We got these children. We got this and this to do, but I'm going to go over here and do me while all this is going on. And so we have to find ways to express our frustration, express our resentments without including opposite sex. I mean, I'm not opposite sex, but other outside parties. Yeah. We have to learn how to endure these things without looking to the drug of the next man or woman. But sometimes that's the role they play,
Yeah. And I think just to add to that, I think a lot of I would say to some degree, a lot of this infidelity that takes place has to do with somebody seeking happiness. The person that they're with does not make them happy. And so again, like a drug, they're looking for the next high. They're looking for the next person who can actually make them happy, hence the infidelity. But again, the reality is they themselves don't even really know what makes them happy.
Yes.
They don't even fully understand what it is that brings them that satisfaction and that real fulfillment. And it's not until they actually are able to find out what it is that makes them happy do they completely understand, But again, I'll even go back further and say it like this. They never had a conversation with the person that they were committed to say to them, hey, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit unsatisfied. I'm feeling unfulfilled in this relationship. Let's talk about this honestly and genuinely so that we don't do something that we will regret later on.
Wow. I mean, and truth be told, if you think about it, no one can make anybody happy.
No, not at all.
All we can do at best is massage what's already there.
Yeah.
Because when you massage things, they take sometimes when you it's like rubbing, like let's just say if you ever had an acne problem, you get the medicine and they don't just say stick it on there. They tell you to massage it in. So the massaging in is invigorating the cells. And so when you massage in, when you're massaging someone's existing happiness or joy, you're welling up something to be great if that's what's already there. But if it's not there, it's to no avail, right?
Yeah. Well, here's another good analogy with that. And that
keep talking. I got to get a plug. Keep talking.
And another analogy that you can use with that is a booster shot. A booster shot is only there to supplement and to strengthen and reinforce your immune system that already should be functioning at capacity. But if your immune system is not functioning to capacity the way that it should be functioning to capacity, what will happen is that booster shot will only take it to, I guess, the regular level. And the reality is that, if I'm not happy, if I'm not, if I don't have a sense of satisfaction in my own life, nobody else can bring that to me other than myself. Only I can really bring myself the happiness that I need. And the only thing that you can do, outside parties can do, is add to that happiness, is strengthen that happiness, is uplift that happiness so that we're both happy together. And here's the other thing too. As much as I may, say that I need you to make me happy, how about this? How about I look for ways to make you happy? And not allow it just to be a one-sided thing. How about I begin to create things that actually bring happiness to your life instead of being so selfish and so self-centered as to think about my own personal happiness?
Wow.
And so the show's almost over, and I don't know what he's doing.
What happened? No, your phone was getting. I was trying to. Your phone got quiet. That's why I was like, I couldn't hardly hear you.
Oh, I'm here.
Sorry about that. I had to go get the plug because the battery was down on the laptop, and so I had to run get the plug. And as I ran to get the plug, then I spilled my iced tea. But anyway, I had to.
You ain't needed no way. You ain't needed no way.
I was sitting here. I was mad, like, darn, that's iced tea. But anyway, But no,
did that make you not happy? Did that make you unhappy?
It did not activate the joy inside. I didn't have any joy after that. I was like, the daggone iced tea is on the floor.
Oh,
No shit. But anyway, but man, I'm like, no, but
look,
this
you can't cry over spilled iced tea.
Oh my God. Yes, because guess what? If you don't attend, here's the thing: if you don't attend to the spilled iced tea, you will have a sticky like residue left
That's right.
over.
You need to clean it up.
Yeah, so that's why we go back to what you said earlier about we need to use the water.
That's right.
Consume these things because the water would at least, it may be wet on tonight, but it will not leave the sticky residue on tonight. How many of you on tonight believe that the sticky residue will not be there?
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. Okay. Lord have mercy, boy.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, but tonight I was just saying, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man.
All right. Yes, man. So I'm just tripping. Just forgive me. What
is going on?
What's going on here?
Okay, next time we do, I need you not to have beverages.
It's this. Just forget about it. Let me go on tonight. Now I'm back. That's it. Forget. I got distracted. If anybody knows me, Mr. Ford, when imperfection happens amongst you, I get very distracted. That's a perfectionist for me. When acts of imperfection take place, I have to address them immediately so that I can get it back onto my normalcy. But anyway,
we can't even have a good production. We can't even have a good show.
Can't even have a good show. But look, I done already cleaned this part up. I just got to deal with the floor later. But anyway, so hey, man, that's all right.
Oh my God!
This makes me look. Cleanliness makes me happy. All right, that makes me happy. Cleanliness. But yeah, I mean, man. This is good. This was good. This was a good show, Mr. Ford. Good show. A lot of people out here are really failing at this concept of happiness versus unhappiness thing. And more people are graduating with a U than an H. Wow. And so we have to come against that, because I believe if we try and if we listen, if we care enough to stay in the fight and listen to our partners, try to listen. Because sometimes, again, I say this all the time, it's hard to love, listen, like, be intimate with in any environment where offense lives. When there's an offense present, it's hard to overlook it. I know it's hard to overlook it, but I know we got to be the bigger person and overlook it. But sometimes when we get offended, it's hard to even pay attention, to care, to do anything.
Yeah, but again, I like I said last time, offense is a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose not to be offended. You can choose to work through the offense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And again, I think a lot of times, because you're unwilling to see it from another vantage point, that's the thing that makes you go,
Yeah.
So, take a minute. And if you need to, like I said, just walk away from it.
Yeah.
Go to another room.
Yeah.
Settle yourself, get your thoughts together, and then come back at it again.
Yeah.
With a positive attitude. And I understand. We will be offended in life. It's going to happen. It's going to, but you don't have to hold on to it. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to hold on to it. You can let that go if you really want to.
Mr. Ford, sometimes I believe we have in the comments every now and then we have visitation from ghost spirits. There are spirits who come amongst us and attempt to be unnamed.
Okay.
But thank God for clarity and discernment on tonight. We're able to see exactly beyond the veil. But anyway, make a long story short, sir. I tell you. Anyway, you'll get it when you get off the phone, sir. But I'm just telling you, it just never ceases to amaze me, the hand of the enemy. But anyway, so listen. On tonight, Mr. Ford, we are doing great, man. This is the great show. Great show, sir. I always enjoy working with you.
I go work with you too, but you crazy as all get out, bro.
I have to be. It's the only way I can survive, sir. I have to have a level of, I have to have a certain level of crazy because my default setting is really calm. But I have to have a hint of a little bit of crazy to deal on tonight with the flight I've been given. It's hard being Mr. Dixon.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
It's hard.
I didn't.
Granted,
I was well.
But anyway, so listen.
I want to say something so bad, but I value our friendship, so I'm going to leave it at that.
It's hard. No, it's hard. I say that because sometimes, and to be honest, when I bet you the people are, even though we have our inside jokes of truth, some of it is some truth things, but the most part of the conundrum as it pertains to me, it really has to do with people's perception of me that have not had the access to really understand me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand a person, you make these assumptions, or even if you have a short dealing, you think you understand a person when you really don't. You got to get to know the person and kind of live in and out of the hot and cold water to be able to get a good temperature of them. And but so when I say it's hard, because sometimes I think people misunderstand my intentions, misunderstand my integrity towards something, my passion, and so a lot of times I get lumped into some pretty bad categories. But make a long story short, I've been called all types of things, but hey, at the end of the day, I have to believe I am who I am, and that's all that matters. It is what it is, man.
That's all that matters. And I'll even go as far as to say this: it's because of the fact that we've had such a long relationship with one another.
Oh yeah.
Then I do understand you, and see, you're not going to get that just from knowing somebody within a day, or within a month, or within a year.
Yeah.
It takes time to develop and cultivate a mature relationship that can withstand disagreements.
Absolutely.
That can withstand not seeing eye to eye on certain things.
Yes.
But in spite of all of those things, because of our commitment to one another, because of our resilience in the relationship, it allows us to have that elasticity within our relationship.
Absolutely.
To go from spot to spot.
And still come out good.
Exactly. And see, that's what a lot of relationships nowadays lack. They lack the ability to be elastic in terms of how they progress.
And the other side of that is, think about what you said earlier about when you were talking about, you kind of were alluding to the person understanding you, like you said, you got a sense of humor, you like to be goofy, you like to laugh. And so sometimes we have to tap. It's imperative that we tap into friendship.
Yes.
If you tap into friendship, that is the waistband of the relationship growing and being able to stretch and being elastic. You have to have that friendship first. If you don't have the friendship, and if you try to go straight to relationship, it makes it uncomfortable.
I really do believe that friendship is the bedrock of any really good relationship that you're going to have. Because again, with friendship, you're coming at it from a position of wanting to relate to a particular person. That's how you become friends.
Correct.
Because you relate to each other. You have some similarities, and then through the course of that relationship, you begin to understand that not only do you have similarities, but you also have differences.
Yes.
But those are the things that actually strengthen and fortify the relationship. Because if we were the same person, then we would not be friends.
Wow. And here's another thing.
We're different. We remain friends.
Correct. Well, that's good stuff. But here's another part of it. When you see situations where in relationships and or marriages where there are constant offenses, that is a sign of a frail friendship, because friendship provides the reserve. Friendship is the reserve. Is Adam is tripping, but I know him, so I know he's just having a bad day. Whereas when you're with someone and you don't know them or haven't given yourself a time to become proper friends, every little thing the person does, you know what, I'm done. I didn't sign up for this. Because you're mad at yourself because you didn't give yourself a chance to really get to know the person. Because if you got to know them, you would give them a bit of reserve, like you said, the reserve tank. Like, where's the reserve tank, in this relationship? How come everything is like prepaid? The minute the offense happened, the minute the service is cut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to get to the point where we have stronger friendships to be able to weather some of these things that we deal with. That's the only way that we're going to make it. Honestly.
It goes to, and it speaks to your level of of commitment within the relationship. How far are you really willing to go? How much capacity do you actually have to have this friendship with this particular person that is going to stretch you in the relationship? A lot of times we don't want to be stretched. We don't want to have that elasticity within our relationship because we want to stay where we are. But to be in a real relationship with anybody requires change, requires adaptability, requires you to be versatile to the point where, where you aren't so rigid in terms of how you accept people, but you accept people as they are.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, sir. We don't want to tarry the people long on tonight, but we do appreciate you guys supporting us. This is always fun, and it's always fun. Like when you see me on here sometimes with Bruce and some of the other guys that I do the stuff with. I enjoy it because not only are we on here just being we're doing the show, but I have a camaraderie with them. So it makes it makes the relating portion of the show that much easier. And I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So man. Thanks and good stuff. And we gotta do this again. Look, this is becoming a weekly trend. So don't forget, I'm gonna send you the text message so we can sequester the next person. We talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah. Well, you need to do that as soon as you possibly can.
I'll send it to you so you can put the bug out there. But okay. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in to Unscripted. And as usual, let's continue to heal the world one heart at a time. And remember, Mr. Ford, tell them how they can catch you on weeknights and Sunday mornings.
Oh, yeah. So tomorrow I'll be doing a Bible study with Triumph Community Church. And I'll be online, on Facebook tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's only for an hour. So if you have the time, then we would definitely welcome you. On every other Sunday, I'm actually ministering on Facebook Live at Triumph. And so usually I post it on the public end of it so that everybody can watch it and view it and see it and participate and everything like that. So yeah. If you have a few moments, if you have an hour on Sunday or an hour on Wednesday, definitely make your way to it. On Sundays, we usually start at 10 a.m. And on Wednesdays, we start at 7 p.m.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. You all take care and have a great ending to the rest of your evening. Be safe.
See you guys. Too bad we don't have an out.